Right, we'll try that again. Liverpool 0, PSG 1, PSG win on penalties. Liverpool crash out of the Champions League in what was an extremely entertaining football for the neutrals, but disappointment for Liverpool. Jubilation for PSG, who go through to the quarter-final stages of the Champions League. I'm still frustrated, man. I am still frustrated. I'm still annoyed. First and foremost, let's just say, fair play and well done to PSG. First and foremost, they were an excellent outfit across the both legs. They probably did deserve to actually go on and win the game and win the tie overall, I felt. But even so, I still feel annoyed because this is, again, a missed opportunity. There are some silver linings to this. There are some good points and positives that Liverpool can take from this going forward. And, of course, our season is still going to be, fingers crossed, still successful, given what is going on in the Premier League right now. There's a cup final on Sunday. There's still a lot to play for. But even so, yesterday, last night was still an annoyance, a frustrating part of the game because we had opportunities. There was potential there. There was promise. But we just didn't take it. We just didn't take it. And like I say, once again, fair play to PSG. Absolutely brilliant. The technical ability, the quality, it was on show. The talent was there. And I just got to say, do PSG, we'll just get over the PSG stuff right off the bat. Do PSG have everybody's attention now? Because there was a lot of people, not myself, but there was a lot of people that were claiming this PSG side were the same old PSG of years before. They're good in the French league, but when it comes to battling in Europe, they don't have the mentality. They don't have the stones. They don't have the mentality to get across the finish line. Well, last night, they created one hell of a Champions League moment for them. Across both legs, they created one hell of a knockout round. It was brilliant from Luis Enrique's point of view, and the squad that he has helped build at PSG, ditching their strategy of the Galacticos and the superstars of world football, the likes of Messi, Neymar, Mbappe all leaving. The squad that he's managed to build there is incredible. It is immense, and we saw that from the first leg, really, but that was just echoed in the second leg and really staple PSG on the map this season as maybe being a proper contender for the Champions League title, maybe the first Champions League title in their history they could claim. And, maybe they needed that victory last night because no one was expecting them, or not a lot of people, should I say, was expecting them to go to Anfield and win. I don't think it's ever been done that Liverpool have gone into a second leg at Anfield winning and have been knocked out. So PSG made history last night, and fair play to them. Absolutely deserving of that. Phenomenal stuff from Luis Enrique's side. The side that he's built up there is brilliant. The well-oiled machine it was. It's still not perfect because I still think maybe they lack a finisher up front. But they were really, 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 really good across both legs. And probably on the balance of things, deserve to go through. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And, of course, get involved in the chat. Let me know what you guys thought and felt about last night's Champions League game between Liverpool and PSG. The second leg at Anfield, in which Liverpool got knocked out in a penalty shootout after the game finished 1-0, thanks to a goal from Ousmane Dembele. PSG certainly deserved their flowers. They were excellent across both legs, I felt. And like I say, I think that will give them an extra injection of mentality and confidence to maybe even push on and win this. They go into a second leg where they're likely to meet Aston Villa. It's not a foregone conclusion. Aston Villa do take a 3-1 lead with them into their game tonight against Club Brugge. A game I would expect Villa to maybe get through. So PSG versus Aston Villa looks to be on the cards for the quarterfinal stages, which again looks favourable for PSG. You can never really rule out an Unai Emery side, though. We all know what his pedigree in Europe. We all know how difficult he is to beat. And of course, I'm sure that there will be an extra incentive for Unai Emery should he get through, because of course, he used to manage PSG. So that one's going to be a very interesting tie, and there's a lot of narrative to it as well. So that's all going to be interesting if and when that all comes to fruition and does materialize in the next round of the competition. But as far as what PSG are concerned, they were brilliant. They're through to the next round. Congratulations to them. But we're here to talk Liverpool. We're here to digest what happened last night. And like I said, I'm still annoyed and I'm still a little frustrated. This season is going to be historic anyway, with Liverpool winning the Premier League title. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, we still need to get across the finish line, but it is looking increasingly likely that Liverpool will not be caught from this point forward. Obviously, touch wood. But yes, it's still a bit of a sucker punch, still a bit of a kick in the teeth, really. Annoying that, of course, we would come up against such a good outfit in this PSG side. But at the end of the day, you need to beat these kinds of teams if you want to obviously win the major honours. And last night, we were second best across both legs. I thought, predictably, we were better last night than we were in the first leg. That was to be expected, given the fact that we were at home. But it was the same sort of issues. The final third wasn't good enough. And to PSG's credit, they defended extremely well. They took the chance that they had. And just what made it even more frustrating was the fact that the chance that they took was arguably the worst chance of the 40-odd chances that they managed to create across both legs. It was the worst one. It was a very good ball through. He manages to just about beat the offside trap. And Konate is extremely unlucky because Konate has to do something on that cross. But it's just unfortunate the way that the way he goes about it sort of outfoxes Alisson a little bit, and it kindly rolls into the path of Dembele, who of course is going to make no mistake with an open goal from extremely close range. So it's very unfortunate from Konate's point of view. It's annoying that the worst chance PSG managed to create in the entire 180 to 210 minutes is the one that they took. But, you know, that's just the way that football goes. And it was very similar to how it was last week because, again, it was fine margins. Luis Diaz being ruled off for offside in the build-up to Liverpool's goal that was chalked off by the linesman and then confirmed by VAR. Liverpool had a fair few opportunities on goal if it wasn't for some very good defending, some last-ditch defending, some clearances off the goal line. You know, this game could have been looked at very differently. I don't think Liverpool played badly yesterday by any stretch of the imagination. We just didn't take our chances in the final third. The final ball sometimes wasn't necessarily good enough. And that's kind of where it works into why I think this is a bit of a, if I want to be ultra positive, a bit of a blessing in disguise when it comes to assessing our squad and looking at who really fits in with Arne Slot's plans for the future and who doesn't. And I think last night was a very good indication of that. Obviously, we'll get onto that a little bit later on in the stream. I just want to kind of wrap up my thoughts on last night. Yeah, it's annoying. It's frustrating. I won't go too hard on the penalty takers from last night because I admire anybody that has the guts, the balls to step up and take a penalty in that high pressure situation. So props to each and every single one of you. But at the same time, as much as I admire the confidence and I admire the courage to step up, Núñez and Jones's one in particular could and should have been better, especially when you consider who's standing in between the sticks. Now, of course, Donnarumma is an incredible goalkeeper. Incredible in terms of his stature as well. It's a massive advantage being a 6'5", sorry, I think it's 6'5", 6'5", 6'6", something like that. A 6'5" goalkeeper with arms that could pretty much touch either post, it seems, by standing in the middle of the goal. Massive advantage for him. But you still have to obviously have the ability to do what he did last night. And obviously Donnarumma's heroics last night were brilliant. Not just even in the penalty shootout either, but he made a few decent stops from the likes of Konate. Jarell Kwanzaa was unfortunate when he hit the post. Like I say, game of fine margins. Game of fine margins, and PSG came out on top. And fair play and credit to them for doing extremely well across both legs and being absolutely brilliant in what they were doing. Yeah, I'm still annoyed. I'm still annoyed. Like, it just feels like it's, again, a missed opportunity. But again, PSG deserving. Liverpool, we got away with it in the first leg, and it seemed like we used up all our luck in that first leg, and in the second leg, nothing went right for us. Nothing went right. Even the coin toss for the penalty shootout to determine which end we were going to be shooting in and who would actually be going first. Even that went against us twice. So, yeah, nothing seemingly went right for us last night. It reminded me so much of the Atletico game exactly, what was it, 4 or 5 years ago now? Nothing went right. Simple as that. Nothing went right for us. And it's annoying. It's frustrating. But the bigger picture, obviously, is that we have the Premier League to look forward to. We've got a Carabao Cup final on Sunday. Chance to win some silverware there. We've got the league to tie up very soon. So there's still, it shouldn't be all doom and gloom, is what I'm trying to say. Yes, it is annoying. Yes, it is frustrating. And yes, the players have to take responsibility. I feel like Arne Slot has to take responsibility as well last night, because it's not exactly the squad I would have set up with. The team selection, I don't think would have been the one I set up. I would have been happy with the kind of box midfield, going Jones instead of Diaz and going Núñez instead of Jota. I know Núñez didn't exactly have the greatest of cameos either, but at the same time, I would have seen how we ended against PSG last week, the physicality of Núñez playing its part, the extra legs and ability in that midfield of Curtis Jones, I think would have definitely aided us in terms of trying to sort of break through this very technically gifted PSG side. And I just would have gone from there, really. I just would have gone from there. I don't think starting Jota was the right call. Luis Diaz continues to frustrate the living hell out of me. Andy Robertson, so annoying, so frustrating. It wasn't great. And then to add insult to injury, and literally injury, Trent pulls up with another injury. Konate goes off, but Slot said it's more tired on his part than anything else. It's not great. It wasn't a great night, in all honesty. Everything that could have gone against us went against us last night, and it wasn't ideal. It was not ideal last night in the slightest. But we take our medicine. We take it from opposition fans who were very, very lively last night. It's only taken them about 3/4 of the season. It's only taken them 3/4 of the season to do a successful hate watch. Only taken them 3/4 of the season to officially laugh at Liverpool. So, fair play for having the patience to do that. And yeah, we basically lick our wounds and get ready for Sunday. Get ready for Sunday at Wembley against Newcastle, Carabao Cup final. We turn our attention to that game. But like I say, I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I think there's a lot to be learnt from this. And of course, if you were at the beginning of the season to offer Liverpool a Premier League and a cup final at Wembley, obviously we would have snapped your hand off, because at the beginning of the season, nobody, not even the most diehard Liverpool fan, not even a Liverpool fan that's casual or a diehard Liverpool fan, even myself, diehard Liverpool fan, was actually predicting Liverpool to get any major silverware in terms of the Champions League or Premier League this year. I said maybe a domestic cup if we get a good run, but I wasn't holding out for anything more than that. I wasn't anticipating a Premier League title. I wasn't anticipating a Champions League. So if you were to offer me this kind of season, I would have snapped your hand off at the beginning of the campaign. Yes, last night was a missed opportunity, but when you take into consideration Arne Slot's first season, Jurgen Klopp finishing last season, Arne Slot taking over, a summer where we only brought in Federico Chiesa, who, by the way, can't get a game. Cody Gakpo on one leg got minutes yesterday. Federico Chiesa, who's just sat there, fit for the first time having a period where he's actually seemingly fit enough to at least make the bench for the first time in a while, magically can't get on the pitch. What the hell is happening there? I don't know. I've got no idea what is happening with Chiesa. What was the point in signing him if we weren't going to put him on in these types of moments? I really do feel like we missed the trick there and not at least giving him some minutes last night. I don't personally get it. But when you consider that he is like our only signing this season and he's barely been used, the incredible job that Slot has done with some of these players to mask their weaknesses and to obviously protect them and to obviously rotate them and to obviously use them in different ways, that injuries haven't been that much. They've still occurred, but they haven't been as frequent as we've known them to be in recent years. I think has been a brilliant, brilliant season. Yes, the Champions League could have made it so much better, but it is still a brilliant season and we're still going to enjoy it when, of course, it is confirmed or hopefully confirmed. I doubt we're going to capitulate from this point, but you never know. No. We're going to win the league. I've already said it. So, yeah, when we eventually, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be incredible. We're still going to get the celebration. We're still going to be the champions of England. We're still going to have an incredible celebration when that does happen. And then we kick on and move on to the next season. And when we move on for next season, obviously, it will probably mean that there's going to be some new blood in the squad. There's probably going to be some getting rid of players as well. And of course, we'll probably do more on that later on in the down the line between now and the summer or during the summer. But the silver lining from last night is that these players will obviously learn from this experience. A fair few of them not necessarily been to a Champions League night or been involved in a Champions League night at Anfield yet. Fair few will learn from this, and a fair few are probably seeing their fate sealed with last night, or even across both legs. We've heard Arnie start talk about how there's going to be some rotation. There's going to be certain players that he doesn't clearly want in his ranks anymore. Some players that obviously are going to be leaving the club. So it's going to be interesting to see who stays, who goes, all of that stuff and more as we move on to the summer. But last night was a clear indication to me as to several players that won't be here next year. And I think it's become apparent to fans as well who those players may or may not be. The likes of, for me, Andy Robertson and Kostas Tsimikas. I've said for a long time this season, it doesn't matter which left back we go with. They're both as bad as each other. And I am so done with seeing Andy Robertson attempt to cross a ball and it constantly hit the first man. I'm done. Whether it be from a corner or whether it be from open play, I'm so done with Andy Robertson not being able to beat the first man from a cross. Every now and again, don't get me wrong, it's not every cross, but every now and again he will put in a decent delivery, but very rarely do we see someone on the end of it. Very rarely do we see a goal from that anymore. We used to see that a lot in the early years of Andy Robertson, and now it's very, very rare, it seems. The Trent situation, whether he goes, whether he stays, I'm at the point now where I'm like, I don't even care anymore. It's dragged on that long. I don't understand what the hold-up is. I don't understand what both parties are disagreeing with. Don't understand what is happening behind the scenes because it is all being played out behind the scenes. So I'm not even necessarily sure. My gut instinct when this whole thing started was that he will stay. Now I'm thinking he's probably going to go. I'm leaning more towards him going than him staying, in all honesty, because it has dragged out this long. And I feel like if both were really wanting to stay together, they probably would have found a solution by now. So I'm a little bit concerned by that. I think the midfield is set. I think Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch will all be here next season, of course. I think Curtis Jones, poor penalty from him last night, but at the same time, I still think he has a role in this team. Endo, if he's content with being a guy that we can rely on for the final 15, 20, 25 minutes of games and maybe filling in here, there and everywhere, being like a bit of a James Milner type figure for the club, then by all means, he's welcome to stay. Obviously, we're hoping Salah stays. We're hoping Van Dijk stays. Konate obviously staying. Joe Gomez, it might be good for the benefit of his career to maybe go get some more minutes elsewhere, if, of course, he can stay fit. Jarell Kwanzaa, obviously still young, but it's going to be interesting to see if Slot really does back him, because at the beginning of the season, it seemed like Kwanzaa was our main centre-back. It seemed like Kwanzaa was going to be the partner alongside Van Dijk, and then switched to Konate. Now, whether that was always going to be the plan, I'm not 100% sure, but Kwanzaa seemingly did fall out of favour, and fell out of even more favour because obviously Joe Gomez was pretty much out the door last summer, if you remember. There was a lot of talk and speculation that Liverpool were putting him in the shop window. And then all of a sudden, when Konate isn't fit, it's Gomez in the starting lineup rather than Kwanzaa. And it made me think, is Gomez back in the picture? Is Kwanzaa out of the picture now? There's an interesting debate and situation that is currently going on there. You've got the goalkeeping situation. I think the benefit for Kelleher is probably for him to go and get first-team football elsewhere because he's too good. Maybe we should have subbed on Kelleher last night. We know that he's got a decent record when it comes to saving penalties. Maybe we should have actually subbed on Keeman Kelleher last night for the penalty shootout. That was an interesting. It's an interesting debate to have, really, especially because the first penalty. I think Alisson should do better with the first penalty. Admittedly, I think he should do better with the first penalty, but I don't think it would have made much difference anyway. You could probably argue as well the order of penalties, but yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. So yeah, there's that situation. There's the goalkeeper situation. I think Kelleher needs to go for the benefit of his own career. Alisson is still the best goalkeeper in the world, in my opinion. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens when Mamardashvili comes in. Does Mamardashvili go back out on loan? Does he become our second choice goalkeeper for like a year, and then the following year maybe we bring him into the fold? I don't know. And then you've got the forward line situation. Now, this is the main bulk of what I want to talk about, because our forward line needs absolutely ripping out, with the exception, of course, of Mohamed Salah and starting again. Salah, of course, we hope he stays. We hope he stays because he is still phenomenal. Nuno Mendes had him in his pocket last night, and that's fair play and fair credit to Nuno Mendes. Like, he was absolutely immense across both legs. There was a couple of times, of course, in which he slipped up. Nuno Mendes, he let Salah in a couple of times, but he managed to recover well. And of course, when we put Harvey Elliott on that side, he goes to sleep for one moment because he's not against Salah, he's against Elliott. And then Elliott goes on to score the goal in Paris. But Salah obviously is still immense, still phenomenal, still on course to be the Premier League GOAT. I just need this whole strike force to be ripped out and starting again. Luca Talks Ball. Hey, dude, how are you doing? Glad to have you along with us, my friend. Hope you are well. Everyone, go and subscribe to this guy's channel. Doing some incredible stuff over there. Do check his stuff out. It is a very, very good channel if you, of course, want to expand your knowledge on football. And he's talking in different areas as well as football. So it's not just the kind of mainstream stuff either. So he's doing really well over there. So everyone go check out Luca Talks Ball. The forward line. Salah aside. Gakpo aside. A guy who has really stepped up this season. And I predicted he would. I think, on the Arnie slot, he would. I think he would move him back to the wing position, and I think he would start to cook. And that's exactly what's happened so far with Cody Gakpo. I'm so proud. I'm so happy. And yeah, I'm glad he has very much improved this season. And I'm glad that he's also helped Salah in carrying the work rate and the workload of scoring goals and assisting and goal contributions and the like. So I'm really, really happy and glad with that. It's the others. It's the others, because Salah's been fantastic. Gakpo has been revolutionised on that left-hand side. He's been resurrected to what made him so great. To what made him so great at PSV. I'm glad. That's fine. And the injury to Gakpo was unfortunate timing, but again, you have to deal with these kinds of things. So I get that. The problem I have, Nunez, Jota, Diaz, all need to go in the summer. All need to go in the summer. I said, like, I'm sick of seeing Luis Diaz get the ball on the left-hand side, attempt to run at his defender, stop, cut back, hold on to the ball a little bit more, and then lose possession. When Luis Diaz first came in, his first touch was immense. You could fire the ball at him at any angle, any speed, and he'd control it dead instantly and just drive at his opponent. Since then, his injuries have occurred, and I do feel sorry for him. But since then, he's not progressed. If anything, he's regressed. He's gone backwards. And it annoys the living hell out of me that has happened. Really does annoy the living hell out of me that has happened. Because he was really good when he first came in, but he's gone backwards. And his time at Liverpool is up. Go to Barcelona and literally big this guy up to the max and see how much you can drain from them. Because I just think his use by date is up. Diogo Jota, look, I can't remember the last time I actually saw a good all-round Jota performance, in all honesty. I really cannot remember. Like, it was decent last week in the first leg in his defensive approach. But I'm done with his injuries. I'm done with his unreliability, and I just think again it's time to move on. And Nunes, why we didn't sell him in January? Like, I'll praise him. I don't have agendas. I'll praise him when he deserves to be praised, and I will criticize him when he needs to be criticized. I don't have agendas here. When he won us the game against Brentford, fantastic. When he stepped up against Southampton, fantastic. But from your club record signing, from your number 9, your main striker, you need more. And he doesn't deliver on a consistent enough basis. He needs to go. Luke says, since Liverpool have won the title comfortably, do you think Liverpool's future is reacting? Can they retain it next season? I think if Liverpool sign Isak, you win it next season again. It's a decent question, and I think there's too much in that Liverpool team that we need to replace this summer. I think in certain aspects this season, we did get a little fortunate, but the main bulk of this season is Arne Slot covering for the weaknesses that our squad has. Because every Liverpool fan will probably tell you that our squad was not perfect going into this season. We've just been managed differently by Slot in comparison to Klopp, which has sort of helped us longevity-wise across the season, which is, why we haven't had as many injuries as people claim, or as many serious injuries, should we say, as many people claim. We've just been managed differently. We've just been rotated differently. We've just been used differently, trained differently, used in games differently. So it's a great question. And like I say, I don't think we will retain it. I don't think we will retain it next season. Right now, if we were to go into next season with this current squad that we have, I don't think we'd do it again next season. But Isak could be a shout. If we keep hold of Salah, Van Dijk, Trent, that is definitely going to be a bonus as well. Bringing in Isak, bringing in another attacker, bringing in a left back that is going to be that is going to be of the better quality. A Kirkes from Bournemouth would be perfect in my opinion. It's going to be an interesting transfer window to say the least. I'm not saying that we're going to retain it if we obviously do go on and cross the finish line, but I get what you're saying there. If you sell Salah, Van Dijk, Trent, one of them, depending, do you think who stays or best to keep? What will happen? Very hard to call. I think you guys need to sell Jota, Nunes, bring in Isak, and back up Jota. In all honesty, I think Salah and Van Dijk are staying. I think both of them are staying. I think Salah will re-sign. I think Van Dijk will re-sign. And Trent is probably the most likely to go, in all honesty. As far as selling guys like Jota and Nunes, completely agree with you. Just went on a bit of a rant about how Jota needs to go, Nunes needs to go, Diaz needs to go as well, in my opinion. Robertson, Tsimikas, maybe one or two others as well. Maybe had their time, but maybe need to move on for the betterment of their careers. The likes of maybe Gomez, the likes of Kelleher in goal. So there are a few there. And then if we could bring in Isak, fantastic. But it depends on how much money we have. If we're spending like 120 to 150 million on Alexander Isak, if we're going to be getting rid of quite a few players that Slot obviously does not trust, and that could even throw in Chiesa, who we only bought last summer as well, because clearly he doesn't trust Chiesa, because otherwise, why is he only played like a handful of games this season? There are going to be other holes in that squad that we need to plug. And as we know, Liverpool don't necessarily spend a massive amount of money. We may spend, like, it sounds dumb not to say that and then go on to say what I'm going to say, but we may spend like 100 to 150 million in certain summers, but we don't just blast out 200 to 300 million like a Chelsea or a Man City tend to do. We tend to do like 100 million, 150 million, and then that's it for like 2 seasons. Like, case in point, we spent like 150 odd million last summer. No, not last summer, but the summer before, when obviously we bought the likes of Szoboszlai and McAllister. And then we didn't do anything this past summer. We didn't do anything in the January transfer window. It's a bit of a madness, in all honesty. So again, there might be other holes in the squad that might need plugging, and if they do, bringing in Isak would be fantastic. But is that for the betterment of the overall squad? Maybe not necessarily. Keep Diaz. I love Luis Diaz. He's quality, bro. I think you need to sell Chiesa, Jota, Nunez, but Isak and top replacement back up to Jota. You must replace. How long Jota being here, though? Jota came in the season after we won the Premier League. It was the proper COVID season. Diaz, when he first came in, was great. But since his injuries, he's not been the same guy. When Diaz was great was when he played with absolute confidence. He was flying through the team. His ball control was excellent. His technical ability was on show. He entertained. He dazzled. He was easy on the eye. And then his injuries happened, and he's not been the same player since. He's seemingly been a bit scared, a bit timid to take on his defender. He's been a bit scared to maneuver off that right-hand side. He sometimes holds on to the ball for too long. He plays these weird passes sometimes. He goes backwards 9 times out of 10. The best Luis Diaz to have is a Luis Diaz that is flying on confidence. And we haven't seen that consistently. We've seen it in flashes. We've seen it in glimpses. We've seen it in spells. But we've definitely not seen it consistently for me. And that's why I think Cody Gakpo is our starting left winger. And Diaz, for me, needs to go. Needs to sell him whilst his stock is seemingly at a respectably high point. Trent for Hakimi, Frimpong. Who do you think can replace Salah? Hakimi and Frimpong do sound like nice replacements for Trent, in all honesty. I was hoping for Kimmich, but it looks like he's staying at Bayern. There's no one player that can replace what Salah does. I've said this on a few streams. Like, there's no one player that can do what Salah is doing right now from that right wing position. There's either no one that's currently doing it, or there's no one that realistically we can take. However, you can certainly replace what Salah does across other areas and moneyball it. Isak would be a very good start. If Gakpo can chip in with a few more goals, which he potentially could do if Salah does leave, that could also be a good position to get some goals, to get some good GA from. And then you need a right winger that's going to make up the others. It's not going to be easy. It's extremely difficult to replace what Salah is doing right now. But let's say the worst is the worst, and that we do see the last of Mohamed Salah this season in a Liverpool shirt. we have to replace what he produces in terms of goal contributions and GA and all of that stuff in other areas. Or next season. Yeah, I think he came in. He came in at the same time as Thiago did, because I remember we got them deals tied up pretty much within a few days of each other. So yes, he would have definitely come in 2020, the summer. Well, so it wasn't the summer of 2020, because obviously I think that was the season where everything was delayed, wasn't it? So it probably been like the autumn time. Do you think Liverpool, if they keep Salah and Van Dijk for next season, they sign 2-year deal? Does that mean if you guys do spend 120 on Isak, do you look for future to replace Salah now or Van Dijk or in 2 years? It's good. It's good. It's good. I like it. It's a good question. Like I say, I think Salah's replacement has to be across multiple players, because I don't necessarily think there is one player that can replicate what Salah does. Now, as far as Van Dijk's concerned, Konate, immense, absolutely immense. Not exactly the most reliable with injuries. Joe Gomez, I like, but I think he'll probably be leaving this summer. Kwanzaa, jury, I think, is still a little bit out on him, depending on if Slot really likes him. In an ideal world, we just go for Bastoni. But that's not going to happen. Would love it though. Would absolutely love it. But as far as a replacement goes for Van Dijk, it's a tough one. It's going to be tough. I don't want to talk about it, in all honesty. It's too sad. Marco, welcome along to the channel, my friend. Welcome along to the live stream. Hope you are well. Hope you're doing great. At least the Liverpool fans could still look forward to winning the league. Didn't the fans say the league has to be a priority and they'd rather win the Premier League than the Champions League this year? Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. Like I was saying at the beginning, like if you'd have offered any Liverpool fan the Premier League title this season, we'd have snapped your hand off, because no one was giving us any chance whatsoever of winning the title. Anyone that you spoke to either said Man City or Arsenal. No one was giving us any chance. A lot of people even said we'd drop as low as like 5th, 6th, 7th because we had no Jurgen Klopp this season. So to go and obviously do what we've done this season in the Premier League is truly fantastic. And we are so grateful and so happy that obviously if we get across the finish line, which looks extremely likely, that is going to happen. We're going to have a celebration. We're going to win the Premier League again. We're going to have league title number 20. In saying that, though, this was still a big opportunity that could have potentially happened and could have obviously saw us have a lot more meaning to the end of our season. But it just hasn't worked out like that. And fair play to PSG for obviously doing absolutely brilliantly with the way that they have with the way that obviously they played across both legs, because they were absolutely brilliant, and fair play to them. Sorry, but why does Liverpool give Núñez so many chances? He is clearly unfit for the team, no offense. We're just having to play with what we've got. For whatever reason, the club decided to turn down 2 bids. 2! We had 2 chances in January to get rid of this guy to Saudi for big money. And yet we decided, nah, we're going to keep it. Now, to be fair, if we did sell him, would we have maybe got across the finish line against Brentford? Maybe not. Who knows? We'll never know. Would we have got across the finish line against, of all teams, Southampton? I don't know. But yeah, it's like I say, the upside is, and I don't want this to sound horrible, but for the betterment of Liverpool and for Darwin Núñez himself, it's best that we part ways, and we are edging ever closer to that becoming a reality this summer, I believe. Liverpool need a striker. Let Salah stay. Welcome along, my friend. Welcome along to the live stream. Hope you are well, my friend. And yes, I completely agree. The striker is definitely needed. 2 strikers, maybe, because I would probably get rid of both Jota and Nunez, and then we'll obviously need to buy one and then have a backup for that one or some competition. Konate made a mess of the first PSG goal, though. Gave Dembele an absolute gift. It was, but to be fair to Konate, if he doesn't make any kind of... I think the ball is going in his direction anyway. It's just rather unfortunate it blocks into the path of Dembele. I just think the way the ball is, the way he's running, I don't necessarily put any blame on Konate there. Konate has to either do something and hope that the ball goes in a direction that is towards a Liverpool player, or he has to either just let it go and hope the PSG player misses it completely. I think he's in a bit of a situation there where he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. So I will give my sympathy there to Konate. Would you rather get Vlahovic or Gyökeres? Gyökeres. It's not that I don't necessarily rate Vlahovic, but I don't necessarily see the major hype, in all honesty. 2 years' time, because if you don't plan for Salah, Van Dijk now, then you've got to wait. Absolutely, but also in two years' time, there could be a defender out there that we're not fully aware of yet that obviously could come to fruition. But that's why you've got to basically go for the here and now, and then hope that maybe later on down the line, there could be a player that does come to fruition, that does become somewhat comparable to the great players that we've currently got right now. So I completely understand where you're coming from with that. Darwin miss made me so sad. It's frustrating. It's frustrating, isn't it? It's unfortunate the way it's panned out. It's so unfortunate the way it panned out, and he just looked like he wanted the world to swallow him up. And yeah, I completely understand. I would never blame a player missing a pen if it happens, but I will question the decision to let Nunez take the penalty. When I saw him step up, I knew he was going to miss it. I'll be completely honest with you, bro. I completely agree with you. I completely agree, and I even said it myself that he just did not look like he was confident enough to take that responsibility on. Now, whether it was him that basically went up to Slot and said, I will take a penalty, I don't know. Whether this was Slot's decision or his decision, I'm not 100% sure. The one caveat, though, I will have to that is that I would be expecting my number 9, my record signing striker, to step up to take a penalty. I would be so expecting that of them, because that is, after all, their main job. So if he didn't step up, I'd be questioning it. If Slot also said, you're not our second best penalty taker, we're going to let the likes of like Van Dijk take one ahead of you, Jones take one ahead of you, Gakpo take one ahead of you, then I would then be still questioning it. So I 100% get where you're coming from. I'm not going to blame anyone for having the guts to step up and take a penalty in that high-pressure situation. I do agree that the penalties should have been better. We've been in a few penalty shootouts now in which they've been quality penalties and they've gone the complete distance at times. But last night's weren't great. And I was a bit surprised, actually, that, Van Dijk didn't step up. I think probably Van Dijk and Konate probably would have been our 4th and 5th choices, in all honesty. But given the way that obviously Van Dijk scored that penalty against Chelsea in the cup final, and obviously Gakpo being an attacker, I'm a little bit concerned as to why they weren't like one of our 3rd penalty takers and Jones was the one to step up instead. But I 100% agree with you. I think the order of penalties last night was a little strange, and I think you haven't been too critical of Slot this season, but I do think Slot did get it wrong a little bit last night. And not just about the penalties either. I think the setup, maybe the substitutions not being early enough, that kind of thing. Luca's going live at 10 o'clock tonight, people. So feel free to tune into it. I will see. I'm working tonight, so I may be able to catch a little bit. I'll see how I go. But yeah, look forward to that, big man. Even if it is that I watch it afterwards. But yeah, I look forward to that, my friend. Did Donnarumma win the battle of the goalkeepers with Alisson? I feel, yeah, I said Alisson probably should have done better with the first penalty. But, you know, I'm not going to go too hard on Alisson because the only reason it went down to penalties in the first place was because Alisson Becker is a freaking beast. Like, if it wasn't for Alisson, this game would have been over in the first leg, done and dusted. Where is your Scouse accent, mate? Yeah, I'm from Nottingham, okay? Yeah, I'm not a Scouser. I'm a adopted Scouser self... Well, I'm not an adopted Scouser. Like, I consider myself part of the Liverpool family. Let's put it that way. As not a Scouser, an honorary one. No, I'm joking. I'm terrible at that. I'm just a Liverpool fan from Nottingham. Not a glory hunter, by the way. I would like to point out, not a glory. Before anyone says glory hunter and all of that stuff, I'm 20. I'm 29. I've been supporting them since I was like 3 or 4 years old. They were the first football team that I watched with my dad, and I didn't even know anything about them at the time. I just saw them playing. I think they won the game. I think Michael Owen scored, and I instantly said, "Who's that?" My dad said Michael Owen. He said he plays for Liverpool. And I instantly wanted to be like Michael Owen playing football. There you go. That's the backstory. I don't think it's unfair that Liverpool faced PSG in this round. Remember that PSG was horrible and almost didn't even make the playoffs. They just hit good form at a bad time for Liverpool. They're a very good side. They are a very good side. Very well technically gifted. They're a very well-oiled machine. They just lack in 1 or 2 areas, I think. Mainly clinical and recognised goal scorer, maybe. But apart from that, they are a brilliant, brilliant side. Yes, it's a little unfortunate that we caught them at the wrong time because, you know, we've got Arsenal fans online that are bantering that, oh, winning against PSG isn't for everybody. Well, we did technically beat PSG in 1 game. So, there, hold that. But yeah, we ultimately did get knocked out by them. They were the better team across both legs. Fair play to them and good luck to them going forward because they could really be a big force in this Champions League going forward. Gyökeres has been kind of average this season since Amorim left. Maybe Amorim then gets the best out of him. Maybe that could be the case, or maybe he's just not kind of gelling with the new setup over there at Sporting. I don't really follow Portuguese football that intensely, so I can't really comment too much, but I hear you. I hear you. Curtis Jones missed 2, but he gets a pass because of the first leg goal. Harvey Elliott scored the first leg goal, bro. Harvey Elliott scored the first goal. I'm not 100% sure what you necessarily mean by that. I swear down, I thought that he would have missed 2, not even saying in hindsight, but I thought it was a good save. That bad shot, though. I feel like it was just the penalty shootout was just a game of momentum. It always seems to be a game of momentum, penalty shootouts. And PSG had the momentum. They won both coin tosses. So they not only got to take first, but they also got to kick in the end of their away fans. Alisson should have saved the first penalty. He didn't. Then Núñez misses. Then Jones misses. And you just sort of knew from that Núñez miss that PSG weren't missing. And to be fair, after the first penalty, PSG's penalties were really good. Were really, really good. So fair play to them. Vitinha's penalty was worse than Núñez's. Alisson should have saved that. Yeah, I think Alisson, if I remember correctly, he sort of waits and then just as about to kick it, he sort of makes a slight movement the opposite way to where it goes. That just, I think, may put him off a little bit in not being able to get a good hand onto it. It's very unfortunate. And again, I will say that maybe should have put Keller in for the penalties. I'm just joking. We should have. It's unfortunate. It's just unfortunate. It's a lottery at the end of the day. Penalty shootout is as what a penalty shootout does. It's heartbreaking, but it's the name of the game. I think Lewandowski is the best penalty taker in the world, followed by Palmer and Ivan Toney and Kane. Even Palmer missed on Sunday. So, yeah, it happens. It happens. And there are some solid penalty takers out there. Solid ones. Whether the ones that are just ones that blast it, or whether there are ones that actually have precision in how they take them. Titan Rowan, how you doing, dude? He's happy that Liverpool are out. Of course he is, Man United fan. Of course he is. I knew you'd be happy. Yeah, we get it. We get it. We take our medicine on this one. No matter where you are in the table, even if you are 14th. We get it. We get it. It's cool. Fair play to PSG. They deserved it since Liverpool could not even score at home while playing 120 minutes. Yeah, just our forward line just not good enough. And that's why I was talking about it much earlier about how in the summer we need to address that in particular. Yes, there are other areas of the squad that we need to talk about. We need to talk about the left back situation. We probably need to beef up our centre back options a little bit. But there we go. There you go. We also need to look at our attacking lineup because Gakpo's injury came at an awkward time. Salah was off the boil, and that's fair credit and fair play to Nuno Mendes. But it's just annoying. It's just annoying. Did you see Van Dijk talking with PSG president and sporting director? Yes, I did. Obviously, given the current speculation, it's only going to add more fuel to the fire. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to make of it. We shall see. We shall see. Could you invest in a mic? Yeah, I think this mic is dying a little bit. I don't know if it's got a good... I don't know if it's the connection or what. I do need to sort of invest in my my tools a little bit. So, yeah, we'll be coming soon as I get around to it. You from Nottingham, get on the Nuno Espirito Santo train whilst you still can. No, I have a soft spot for Forest. Obviously, a lot of my friends in Nottingham support Forest, and obviously they've been doing very well. I've been following them from a distance away. Even when they were in the Championship, I watched them progress and get promoted back into the Premier League. So I do have a soft spot for Nottingham Forest. I'm so happy that they're doing well this season, and their fans are brilliant. Especially when they go away from home as well. So, fair enough. Do you watch Leo's goals? Afraid not. Any good? Any good? I imagine he's good if you're recommending him to me. I'll have to maybe check that out. Do you like Michael Owen as a pundit? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Some of the stuff he comes out with, though, is absolutely hilarious. So... I like him because he creates moments, even as a pundit. But I don't really follow his takes or take any of his real takes with any sort of insight or knowledge. It's just very strange the way he talks about the game, isn't it? I think it's unfair that Liverpool's COVID winning season has an asterisk. They won it fair and square, but yes, this season is winning the Prem will feel even better. Who's putting an asterisk on it? No one is, because if you're putting an asterisk on that season, you have to then put an asterisk on the season after, right? Where Man City won it at the beginning of their four-peat. Is anyone doing that? I don't think so. So Liverpool won it fair and square. There's no asterisk next to it. It's a genuine title. It's a legitimate title. My bad, Curtis Jones. Yeah, not Elliot. Why are people not giving Elliot grief for missing? Then it's all on Nunez. Wait, because Elliot didn't take a penalty. That's why. 4-1 on pens. You didn't see that a lot. Usually, the losing team gets at least 2. Yeah. Again, it's just one of them things that happens, isn't it? Yeah, Palmer missed. Chelsea played Leicester, and Palmer missed a penalty for the first time in his career. Typically on the week that I captained him in my fantasy team. So, thanks, mate. Appreciate that. Fantastic. Your video about the Saturday day of TV drama got great views and interaction. It was a very good video, bro. Thank you, mate. I'm not going to dwell too much onto the negative side of it. It's been and gone. Made a video on it. But yeah, I appreciate all the views and all the comments and stuff. It's been very interesting to gauge the opinion of you guys, which is obviously what this content and what this community is all about. So it's all about just including everybody together to commentate on these types of things. And I'll always try and talk about and commentate on and comment on anything and everything that I find to be stupid or anything that I find to be controversial, hypocritical, which is why I often talk about how the way that clubs operate. I often talk about referees and PGMOL. I often talk about footballers in general, managers, coaches, and pundits and fans. So I'll continue to call it out as long as I obviously have the platform and the want and belief to do so. Well, United is winning Europe. You know what? I actually did say that United at the beginning of the season would win the Europa League. So my prediction would actually come true if you did. You've got a long way to go about it. And it wouldn't surprise me if you did, because Amorim is still a good coach. You're a bit of a cup team these past few years, of course. So it genuinely wouldn't surprise me if you did. Do you think Salah could score even more if he was playing down the middle? No. I think he's fine where he is, to be honest. I think he's perfectly fine where he is. Yeah, I don't see Van Dijk going to PSG, but you never know. Maybe you can see it as an easy league. Big payday, easier league. And of course, if the Champions League is still around, that could obviously be something for him to maybe hang his hat on. But yeah, they've got a fantastic squad, PSG. Fantastic squad building up. Leo's goes to the Liverpool fan channel. Oh, okay. It's someone just I've not really come across, so maybe I will check this out when I get some free time. Owen is a Man United legend. Of course he is. Like, it's mad. I doubt you take... I'm surprised you take ownership of him, to be honest, because no other club that he's played for does. He's played for some really good clubs. He's played for Liverpool, Real Madrid, United, and I was going to say Stoke, but Newcastle, because he also did play for Stoke. But yeah, not many people tend to take him as like a club legend wherever he's gone. So if you want to take ownership of that, be my guest. He used to be my childhood hero, but then I switched to Gerrard and I made the right choice. I like Owen as a pundit. Some people don't like his voice. Not just his voice, it's just some of his comments he comes out with. The one that still gets me and that I go back to is just the one where he's talking about throwing an apple core in the bin. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Slot will get exposed once he loses Mo Salah and Van Dijk. His true test will come when rebuilding Liverpool. That's why it's going to be a big summer. It's going to be a massive summer because I think he sees that there are a few players in this system that work. And I think that he sees that there are a few players in this squad that are not going to work, that are a bit of dead wood to him. So, yeah, we shall see. Bayern COVID win has asterisk 2. They played no return legs. that's the one where you could say would be a little bit different because, like you said, the format changed that year. And weren't they playing all the games in neutral venues as well? I mean, they probably all would be neutral venues because there would probably be no fans. So, yeah. But yeah, it's an awkward one. It's a very, very awkward one. The Champions League for that season. But like I say, Bayern deserved to win it. I watched the final against, conveniently and coincidentally, PSG. So yeah, it is what it is. You think Julian will feature on AFTE as normal? Robbie put out a video on that, didn't he? I don't know what he said in the video. I've not actually watched the whole thing. I've just seen like a clip of it in which he said he's addressed the situation with him. I think, like I said in the video, like I think it's true that he's got like a lot of money and he opens a fair few doors for Robbie. So I would imagine AFTV will probably sweep it under the carpet and hope that obviously it kind of goes away eventually, which is not, in my opinion, the right call to do necessarily. But obviously it's Robbie's channel and he can do whatever he wants with it. But it is what it is. It's not as if Julian forbids Saeed or anything. He was just asking if it's the smart to make political statements, and Saeed totally took his badge off, hid it on AFTV, but on Let's Move On. I mean, he claims he didn't. He claims his jacket was covering it. I have no real reason to doubt him necessarily. But at the same time, it's just him getting involved in something he didn't need to get involved in and showing that he was trying to intimidate him when it wasn't even his channel to do so. And I just found him to be a complete muppet. So I will call out, if you're a muppet on camera, if you're a muppet on the football pitch, if you're a muppet from punditry, I will call you out because I've done it to the likes of Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville before. I've done it to Dermot Gallagher. I've done it to Mike Dean. I've done it to Howard Webb. So I will continue to call dumb stuff like this out, whether you're a player, a coach, a manager, someone in power at a football club, a pundit, a presenter, or in this case, a fan. It does not matter. I will try and be as consistent as I can on all of these types of things. So, yeah, we shall see where that really goes. Barcelona won against Atalanta last game day. Then Liverpool would have had the easy bracket. Benfica, Lille. No, not necessarily. I mean, if Barcelona would have won, yes, because technically, if things were to go the same way, then technically, yes, we would probably have gotten Benfica rather than PSG. But things have like a ripple effect and all timey-wimey stuff. So we may still not necessarily got what we would have got. But at the same time as well, if we'd have beaten PSV on the last game, we probably wouldn't have got we probably would have got someone else because PSV then wouldn't have won their game. They wouldn't have gone above where they were in the Champions League table, and then that would have put PSG up a bracket. So we would have got someone else. So you could see it from both ways, I think, if I remember correctly. Owen was a legend. Plenty of kids had his jersey. Yeah, I was one of them. My dad brought me my first Liverpool kit with Owen on the back. Still remember it to this day. Got rid of it after we sold him to Real Madrid, though. Nah, Slot had solid fundamental. I follow the Dutch league. Slot can never get exposed, I think. I mean, he can. I mean, a lot of managers, every manager, I think, can in some way, shape, or form. The one thing I will say about Slot is that he had to do this kind of thing, didn't he, in his second season over in the Dutch league? And I think He managed to clear out some dead wood that he didn't like. He managed to bring in some good players, and I think he managed to win the Dutch league, didn't he? In that kind of season where he had a lot of players that were chopping and changing. So fair play to him on that. Can he kind of replay that? Can he kind of replicate that in the Premier League? It's obviously a much more intense league. It's obviously a different kind of league. We'll have to wait and see. I'm a big fan of Saeed lately. I like his vibe. I do watch alongs. He's funny as a wordsmith, underrated, but I am not fully on his side with this ordeal. Julian should apologize and forget. It's like I say, Saeed's done brilliantly. He's seemingly a channel that is like snowballing massively, and his watch-alongs are seemingly gaining more and more notoriety. So fair play to him. Like, he's a United fan, so I don't necessarily follow his content too much, but every now and again, something will pop up. As far as obviously the situation goes, look, I'm done really talking about it, in all honesty. I just don't think it was the right place or time for Julian to interrupt and interject his political stance on the video. There's a time and a place for it. It just did not need to happen. It also didn't need to happen because it wasn't his channel. It wasn't AFTV. It was Saeed TV. I just don't think it needed to happen in its entirety. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't hold the opinions that he does. I said in my video, like, whether you're on one side of the fence on something or the other side of the fence, I will always respect the right for everybody to hold their own opinion. But like I say, there is a time and a place. There is a time and a place for those opinions to be voiced, and that wasn't the time nor the place. There is a reason people say don't involve politics, religion, etc. is going off the deep end. Exactly. Those are like two topics that really divide people and can really rile people up the wrong way. So, yeah. Do you watch-alongs? I do sporadic ones. Given the time, given the freedom, I will do the occasional watch-along. I did one this past weekend when watching the Nottingham Forest-Manchester City game, but they are very sporadic. So they're not consistent at all, unfortunately. Time does not allow me to be consistent as of right now. But hopefully in the future, if obviously things keep on building and developing the way that I'm hoping they are, then they will become probably a weekly occurrence at the very least, at least one a week, hopefully. Just up. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. I've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed our back and forth between us today. That's why I keep saying Champions League is harder to win than the Premier League. Some disagree. Beating like Real Madrid, Barca, Bayern in a row or something is hard. That's why I have so much respect for Real Madrid, because they did the three-peat of Champions League titles. They're obviously the most successful team in the Champions League. I have so much respect for them in doing that. Is it more difficult than winning a Premier League? You can argue that. I just think that maybe the Premier League across a 38-game season, with how much Manchester City in particular have raised the bar in recent years, I may have to slightly disagree with you on that. Obviously, you've got other competitions that you have to contend with. You have to build up a good enough squad to rotate and to obviously and to obviously maintain that going a full pelt for 38 games. And especially because here's another thing as well. The Premier League is the only league where top can face the bottom and the top has to still put out a strong squad. That is my genuine opinion. And here's the proof of that. This past weekend, Liverpool played Southampton, top versus bottom. We put out a strong squad for that one. Okay, may not have been our strongest. There may have been one or two rotation players in there, but we still put out a very strong squad. This PSG side played roughly around about the same time as we did. They rested about 9 or 10 of the players that played in the first leg for their league game on the weekend. No other league other than the Premier League, you will see that. Bayern probably did the same thing this past weekend. I think they actually lost this past weekend. Leverkusen also did the same thing this past weekend. They lost. I guarantee you, if Real Madrid and Barcelona were to face a very low-ranked opposition in La Liga, but also had a very big Champions League game on the horizon, they probably did it this past weekend. I'm not 100% sure. They would probably do the same thing. They would probably heavily rotate. The Premier League does not allow you to do that because the intensity in the tenacity and the physicality and all of those kinds of words and all those kinds of factors all combine to make it one of the most dangerous and difficult leagues in the world. Just saying. What Slot said to the referee was not even offensive at all. How did he get too much ban? He said, if we effing lose the league, I blame you. Pretty mild. I mean, I get it. There is obviously an element of respect that needs to be shown. But I did a video on this, actually. I basically just said if the referee had done his job properly, that wouldn't have happened. But I also said, like, a 2-game ban does seem pretty excessive. It does seem pretty, especially because, you know, Pep Guardiola several years ago did the exact same thing. Aggressive handshake and a very sarcastic sort of comment thrown repeatedly in the direction of the referee. Just seems hypocritical. And also, it comes from a referee who is so blind to the fact that someone pretty much got decapitated in a game. Like, he was so blind to see that a goalkeeper literally kicked the head off of a striker, didn't see that as a red card, needed VAR to interfere with that, even though he had basically front row seats to it, but yet saw the need to give Arne Slot a red card for shaking his hand and saying the odd choice word to him. It didn't make any sense. Well, Julian didn't necessarily know the camera was running and Saeed left it in there on purpose, but yes, let's not give it any more attention. I mean, I'm not going to give it any more attention, but one thing I will say on that is it probably, obviously I don't, because obviously you only see Robbie and Saeed there. It looks like they're about to conduct an interview. It probably didn't, and from the way that he obviously goes into shot, he obviously goes past the camera. So it didn't probably take a genius to work out what was happening in that situation. And he's been exposed for it. And it's just about him staying out of other people's business. Because if you've seen online, people have gone and put him under the microscope. The irony being, if he'd have stayed out of their business, everybody online probably would have stayed out of his business. Just saying. Let's respect Julian too. I respect his views. Like, he's allowed to have them. I don't necessarily agree with them, but he's allowed to have, obviously, his views and opinions. But like I say, there's a way of going about it that's respectful and honourable, and I don't think he showed it, in all honesty. I think Man United will squeak through against Sociedad, but a team like Athletic Club with the Williams brothers will destroy them. It could happen. It could happen. We're going to have to wait and see. It's going to be the Europa League is going to be an interesting one. And United definitely could. I could see United going all the way. Ultimately, I could see them getting knocked out on Thursday. We'll have to obviously wait and see on that. Alternatively, Tottenham as well. That one's going to be massive because I think the conversation has to be had that on Friday morning, if Tottenham are out the Europa League, does Ange get sacked or does he walk away of his own accord? And the main reason I say he walks away is because he said, in his words, in his second season, he always wins something. If he does it on Thursday, he's a liar. Some say Robbie's on Julian's payroll and he got funds, got that Jewish money, but up Julian. Big up Julian. I've heard he's got a lot of money. I've heard he's got a lot of money, and I've heard he's got ties in AFTV. So I've heard he's a bit of a big player behind the scenes there. again, I'm not. I respect the chats, bro, but like I say, I'm not gonna get too much into it. I think Julian did not realize it was Saeed channel. I think he may have thought it was AFTV. That's why. Okay, it was my last comment. Right? Yeah, we'll leave it there, bro. We'll leave it there because I understand where you're coming from. I don't think we'll ever know the full story unless, of course, Julian's come out with his version of events or whatever. But yeah, we'll leave it there for now. It was something that needed to be said, something that needed to be pointed out. But yeah, we'll leave it there for now. Do you remember last Man United Europa League final when the never-ending penalties, they lost in Gdansk against Villarreal? Big up Emery. Unai Emery, man. Europa League GOAT. You know what was spicy? Emery versus PSG next in the Champions League, but I think Bruges still has a chance. I mentioned that earlier. I said the narrative will be, if obviously Villa can keep their nerve tonight, is that Emery will be against his old club, and that would give him a bit of extra incentive to maybe get one over on his old club. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. That one. It's going to be a very interesting game. You know who unexpectedly has a lot of money? Lee Judges, low. Has dry cleaners. Always best drip. Not a lot of people know. Really? Really? Legit? He seems like a right character as well. He does seem like a right character as well. Every now and again, just watch a bit of AFTV and like, yeah, he's a bit mad, isn't he? He's a bit mad, but he seems all right. He seems all right. And I'm going to call it there, guys. I'm going to call it there. At the end of the day, Liverpool get knocked out of the Champions League. Yeah, it stings. Yeah, it's an annoyance. Yeah, still a little bit frustrating. But the silver lining is I think we learned a lot more about this Liverpool team last night than we would have done if we'd actually won the Champions League. I think if we won the Champions League, we may be sat here going, why are we getting rid of these players? And in reality, I think there are a fair few players here that are past their use-by date and we need to get rid of. So, in all honesty, I'm happy with the way our season's gone. Yeah, a bit annoying that we couldn't add more silverware to the potential that we're going to win this season. But at the same time, I think we've learned a lot about our squad last night. A lot more to learn about us going forward. A lot of big decisions that need to be made at the club in the summer especially. And fair play to PSG. Fair play to PSG on what was an incredible Champions League night last night. A proper entertaining game for the neutrals. A nerve-biting one if you were obviously a PSG or Liverpool fan, I would imagine. But yeah, the bottom line is Liverpool are out. PSG advanced to the final 8. And fair play and good luck to Luis Enrique's side, who has built a fantastic, brilliant side up there. Call me crazy, but I think Aston Villa has the best attack in the Champions League. Embarrassment of riches and attackers since the January window. You know what? Adding Rashford and Asensio seem like strokes of genius. Asensio in particular has been on fire recently. If he can keep them firing, who knows? And that's going to make it very interesting. 2 counter-attacking teams in Villa and PSG battling it out for a place in the semi-final to meet, let's face it, one of the Madrid sides. Let's be real. Let's just be real. It's probably going to be one of the Madrid sides. I don't want to curse it as well either. But I just don't think Arsenal will win it. With all due respect, I just don't think Arsenal will get there. Thanks everyone for watching. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new and want to see more content like this. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. Thank you all for your brand new or continued support to the channel. It really does mean a lot to me. Absolutely love and adore you guys. You guys are absolutely awesome. So thank you all for the support. Thank you everyone who got involved in the chat today. Really enjoyed going back and forth with you all. It was a very, very good conversation to have. Really enjoyed you guys just pitching in with your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings Obviously, if you still have them, go back on any videos that you want to obviously go back on the channel, talk about it. Or if you have any ideas for future videos, future live streams, things of that nature, hit the chat, hit the comments as well. Don't be afraid to do so. Would love to hear from each and every single one of you of what you have to say on all of this. Like I say, thank you to the likes of Marco. Thank you to Luca as well. Go and subscribe to all of these brilliant people. Titan Rowan was here, of course. Just trying to work out who else was here. There was a couple of others, I think. Bear with me 1 second. Luca, Maddox Alexander Arnold, of course, the incredible brother of Trent. Zion, thank you all for being here with me this afternoon. Absolutely brilliant to talk to you all. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks live stream. Thank you all once again for tuning in. Thank you all once again for listening to my ramblings as well as you getting involved. Absolutely appreciate all of that. And I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll speak to you all again very, very soon.